We'll fight that fight later. Well, let me just bring to you an information. You know, we asked you the other time if you have been, conferred with both CIOD and CIBN fellowship. You have not? Well, we have someone here who has. Dr. Wahid Olagunju has been conferred as a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Directors. He's also attained another fellowship conferment and investiture by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Before now, he was acting managing director and chief executive officer, as well as executive director, Small and Medium Enterprises Bank of Industry. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me, Ayo, and Auntie Alera.
Quite the journey you have had. What's the experience been for you down this road?
Well, first and foremost, I want to give glory to the Almighty God. I graduated from the University of Lagos, University of First Choice, in 1981.
Well, someone is right here protesting.
I mean, I don't know what he wants University of people to say.
I'm sure John and Shola will be happy. Let me say University of First Choice. Because China is the product of University of First Choice. So, as you know, I spent the first 9 years of my career in broadcasting at the NTA, and then I joined banking in 1990. So I was in banking for 29 years. And in those 29 years, for 22 years I was on the board. 16 years as company secretary, and 6 years as an executive director, and then acted as MD twice. So one is grateful to God for endowing one with the capacity and capability to navigate this environment for more than 40 years, and I dare say, with all sense of humility, successfully, that resulted in the 2 fellowships that I referred to.
How much did your broadcast experience impact your career the 20-plus years after?
Thank you very much for asking that question. It actually prepared me for my career in banking. Because one thing that most people do not know is that if you're a good communications practitioner, grounded educationally, and I emphasize, you are very well educated, as we were before SAP, having a first degree and a master's degree.
Wow.
Our universities were comparable with others internationally. You are equipped with the tools you need to navigate the rest of your life. Instruments of analysis, qualitative and quantitative research methods, right? You've been trained to have an analytical mind, to have a critical mind, logical reasoning, right? So you need to acquire a lot of knowledge for you to succeed as a communications practitioner. So it was in the course of being head of the economic desk at the NTA when I designed a communications support program for the structural adjustment program. That was when I got headhunted to work for the Nigerian Industrial Development Bank. And I must say, with all sense of humility, that I did not apply and I was not interviewed. I was headhunted by Malam Ibrahim Aliu, the managing director of NIDB at that time, who I had met as PAMSEC Communications along the way, and who was also PAMSEC Economic Affairs in the presidency. I was on the Technical Committee on Commercialization and Privatization that drove the process, the regulation. And lead Dr. Hamza Zayat was the chairman of TCPC, and Dr. Samshuddin Usman was the pioneer DG of TCPC. And in the course of that assignment, I interacted with the managers of the Nigerian economy, Alhaji Abubakar Alhaji, Dr. Chuespi Okongu, Dr. Kalu Dekakalu, Chief Olufalaye, late Governor Abdulkadir Ahmed, and then internationally too. I got exposed to Professor Adebayo Adedeji, who was one time Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Yeah. And then Alhaji sent me to the World Bank on attachment, during which... Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's where I got my grounding.
Because I was going to ask you how easy it was for you to ease from broadcasting into banking.
Yeah.
And, you know, the economic matters.
Yeah, that was where I was going to. I mean, when I was at the World Bank, I met with Baba Konable, the president of the World Bank at that time, Michel Camdesou, the MD of IMF at that time, and then Sir William Ryrie, the chief executive of the International Finance Corporation at that time. Then late Dr. Obaka Ndiaye, who was president of African Development Bank. By the time you sit down for 1 hour discussing issues with these people, it's like a crash program in development banking.
Wow.
At the postgraduate school. Because their staff will not expose you to them if they are not sure of your capacity and competence. Because you go and waste your time discussing with them. So before getting to that level, you must have passed through their staff. Like my first interview with Dr. Chiespe Okongu, late Dr. Chiespe Okongu, on the interview, say, what do you know? I say, I'm still learning, sir. It's okay. Go and read this book. If you read this book and you understand it, then come back and interview me. I didn't feel humiliated. I thanked him. And he assigned 2 of his special assistants, Mr. Benson Omokuyo and Onyekwere Ogba. So make sure when he reads this book, when he understands, and I'm sure he understands, let him come back and interview me. So that means that I have to keep reading and reading. And when I go for those conferences too, there was no internet. The books are free. On one of the trips in 1989, I come back from Washington, I had 2 suitcases filled with books. Mr. Jimmy Lawal, the founder of Alpha, saw me at the airport. I had excess luggage. He said, why have you been shopping? I said, I go on your shop, sir. He said, what do I say? I said, there are books. You said, open your suitcase. Then I opened my suitcase. And he volunteered. He was flying first class. And he volunteered to airlift those books to Lagos for me free of charge. Wow. He paid. He was impressed that I was taking books to read. So it opened my mind, and that was how I got Chief Rashid Gwaramose was the chairman of NIDB at that time. People I had met. Mrs. Nika Kode was on that board. Mr. Victor Dozie was on that board. So they invited me to come and join this bank. And I joined, and so when I joined, the exposure I had received in broadcasting put me in very good stead. I was employed as senior manager of corporate communications, but they realized that I was bringing more to the table than communications. Within 2 or 3 years, I was made assistant company secretary. I joined the management. I was taking minutes. Then in 1996, I became company secretary. And I remained company secretary to 2012, 16 years. I was elevated to the board as executive director. But self-education, I must say, I continued reading, attending crash programs. Like when I was appointed as company secretary, I went to London to attend the crash program at the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of London, right? And when I was elevated executive director, I knew this was a different terrain. I attended the crash program at the Queen's University in Canada, intensive program.
Yeah.
Right. And then I went to Wharton, so a lot of self-education.
You know, I'm excited about the communication part. Forgive me, it's my, should I say it's my weak point? Because I believe, and I stand to be corrected or challenged on it, that if we can get communication right in any and every way, we get development right quite significantly. How difficult is it for people at the top to communicate with people who don't have the same level of knowledge or understanding as them, especially when those are the people that they are serving? This is a kind of leadership question for you.
You are spot on. And that's why Nigeria is still where it is today. Until we become a communication-driven society, we will not achieve our economic, political development aspirations. One of the major functions of management is communication. One of the major attributes of a good leader is communication. What do you want to say about Obama? What do you want to say about Bill Clinton? Or even President Trump? These are great leaders with communication skills. You need to, remember that when Professor Adeba Adeliji was Executive Secretary of the Economic Commission for Africa, they convened a conference in Arusha, Tanzania, to discuss Africa's economic recovery. And one of the conclusions was that they came up with an African Charter for Popular Participation and Development. What they were saying there was that democracy and development are two sides of the same coin. But what connects them is communication. A leader would have a vision. You need to be able to sell the vision to your people. Communicate to your people.
That word vision again.
Of course. Then followership. How do you ensure people follow you? You must communicate. Like when Chief Awolowo became Premier of Western Region, he had a vision, free education. How would he pay for it? He met with the people of Western Region. He sold his vision. If you embrace education, these are the advantages. But no money to pay for education. We need to impose some tax. Because the people bought into the vision, they willingly paid the tax. And he delivered. And that speaks to corporate governance. Corporate governance is a structure by which an organization or a country is directed, controlled, and held accountable. So when you communicate to the people and they willingly pay tax and you deliver, you must be accountable to them. And that's what democracy is all about. So we need to develop communication. We need to acquire communication skills. I mean, like the president delivered a speech at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group during the week. That was one of his best speeches ever. It was highly inspiring. He said, look, we can achieve a multi-trillion-dollar GDP economy over the next 10 years. That's a vision. And I know that given our antecedents, we as Nigerians have the can-do spirit. And the Western world, the whole world too knows. They know that Nigerians, if they get it right, within 10 years, you can't stop them.
No.
We've demonstrated this in many spheres. Okay, look at telecoms. The improvements we've had in telecoms in the last 20 years is unprecedented anywhere in the world. And I stand to be correct. Nobody can challenge that. When Baba Obasanjo came in 1999, we had less than 400,000 telephone lines. But guess what? When he deregulated, came up with the right policies, 2002, 2001, the licenses were auctioned. 20 years down the line, NCC is telling us that we have a GSM penetration of 220 million. Whereas in 1980, when OAU had a conference in Lagos on development of Africa, they came up with the Lagos Plan of Action, and 7 targets were set. One of them was 1 telephone line to 100 Nigerians by year 2000, over a 20-year horizon. But look at us now. We've exceeded that.
Can we move on from that? Look from that.
No. Look at banking too. The banking sector in Nigeria, the services rendered by Nigerian banks is much more, quality of services is much higher than most parts of the world. But most people do not celebrate this. And they are able to do this because of the telecom revolution.
Mr.
Look at
Olagunju,
Siemens.
I will tell you why we don't celebrate that. Because the banks charge us for everything, including, what do they call those things?
The token.
The tokens.
Yeah.
And your ATM cards,
Okay.
which you get for free everywhere else in the world. They charge us for everything.
Well,
that's why we don't celebrate that.
Well, the operating expenses in Nigeria is high. It's profitable.
Please let her go to court.
My partner has become a politician. If you don't like it, go to court.
Olagunju, let me ask you, I mean, 2 fellowships. Fellowship of the Chartered Institute of Directors, fellowship conferment and investiture by the Chartered Institute of Bankers. How does that feel?
Well, like I said, I'm grateful to God and grateful to the leadership of the 2 fractional bodies for appreciating my contribution to national development. I'm grateful to them, I'm grateful to God, but it imposes a lot more responsibilities. It therefore means that one must do a lot more for our country, wherever we find ourselves. People only see the bright sides of being a director, but it comes with heavy responsibilities. The company laws that are statutory duties for directors. Then, depending on the sector where you operate, there are also sectoral codes, right? There is a 2014 code for banks. Then you have the Nigerian Code for Corporate Governance, 2018 as well. But broadly speaking, amongst others, directors are meant to preserve, for example, the assets of the company or the organization, further the businesses of the company organization, and promote the purpose for which the organizations were established. But then it comes to fiduciary responsibilities, where if you are found to be negligent by a court of competent jurisdiction, a director could be jailed, and many directors have been jailed. So it comes with heavy responsibilities, fiduciary responsibilities.
Okay. The now chartered Institute of Directors is one of the most prestigious institutes that any person in corporate Nigeria would aspire to be a member of.
Just as you are a member.
Well, sleeping member. Let me ask you this question. What are the benefits of being a member of the IOD? Because every person who goes up the corporate ladder, the next thing they want to do is join the Institute of Directors. Why is it so attractive?
If you are an active member, there are a lot of benefits. Because it's good you go to school. When you leave school, you need to continuously educate yourself. And that's one of the things that the Institute does. They run programs. Now with technology, you don't need to be physically present. A lot of these programs are available online, on capacity building, on corporate governance, on accounting, on how they equip you better to discharge your responsibilities as a director. They bring you up to speed on happenings in your sector, in the country, and all over the world. Because as a director, you need to be highly knowledgeable. And apart from being highly knowledgeable, there are some other attributes you require. You need sharp reflexes to function successfully as a director. You need instincts. You need intuition. You need foresight. Right? And you should be able to anticipate even hindsight. You need integrity. So these are personal attributes that, being an active member of the IOD, you get reminded of all the time. And then there's peer review, and then you learn from each other what is happening in the field. By the time you're in a workshop or in a seminar, right, 50 directors comparing notes. What happened in my company? What happened in your company? You learn from each other and on the way forward. And when there are challenges in your organization, you can always call on the IOD. There are a lot of resourceful people in IOD. I mean, somebody like Dr. Christopher Kolade, he's in his 90s, right? If you have challenges, he's always available. Daddy, I'm on this board, I have this issue. Or somebody like Mr. Dr. Suleiman, he's in his 70s. I still consulting. Uncle, I'm on this board, sir, I have this challenge. He was okay, why, blah, blah, blah. I can always reach out to them. So those are the benefits. And you have to continue learning from those people.
I'm glad you spoke to what we need to do for national development. Communication is one of them, and you spoke about that quite copiously. But, I eavesdropped on your conversation with Alero the other time about the place of social media in a number of things. But let's speak to young people whose playfield is the social media. Now, there are some people out there who are really not interested in all this academic stuff. Sizable number of them just want to become musicians and blow. I don't. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that blow because it sounds like an explosive to me. But hey, I don't know. So, what would you say to them to get them to see things from that cerebral perspective for not just national development, but for their own development as well?
We are passing through a phase. I would want to say that for now, most of them are excited at the possibilities presented by social media. Unfortunately, they are using them negatively in most cases. But a lot of positives uses to which the social media can be put. Which other countries are doing? Which other sites are doing? So it's for us now to redirect the minds of our people. So look, you're going on the wrong path. This is the right path to go. Those in the social media space, some people are using it to make money. Look at Paystack. Look at Flutterwave. They are using technology positively. A lot of these companies owned by young Nigerians are valued more than $1 billion. They are dollar billionaires. In fact, at a point, Paystack's valuation was higher than that of 3 Nigerian banks put together.
Wow.
Yes. More than 3 Nigerian. I won't mention the names. But we did that analysis. $1 billion. And how old are the guys behind? But then, they will not be able to raise those monies without corporate governance. If their companies are not well managed. Because investors' confidence is required. And for investors to park with their money, to give their money to you, particularly at 20-something, you must show them your figures, you must show them your books, you must show them your strategic plan over a 5-year period or 10-year period. And then you have your annual budgets, you have your targets. How do you want to get to where? From point A, you need to be accountable to those investors. So we need to educate them more. That's what I think. We have a responsibility. They're excited now, but they're using it negatively, but then we need to use them constructively. But some parents, you need to see what some parents are doing with their 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old children. They're directing their minds. And you need to know what those children are doing. For example, as you know, I'm from Ofa. I'm the Babagumba of that community, and I'm the chairman of the Economic Development Committee as well. We are introducing corporate governance to everything we are doing. We have a 10-year development plan. We have an industrial park as part of implementation of the plan. Within the industrial park, we have an ICT hub. Right? During the summer, we got school children in the environment. Even some came from Abuja, from all parts of Nigeria. We had a summer school for them. And they were exposed to opportunities on the World Wide Web, Internet of Things, we're equipping them with digital skills and how to use those skills constructively and positively. So that's what we're trying to do now. It can be used negatively. Some go to do 419, some go to commit fraud. But then it's for us to guide them positively.
Yahoo.
And we have a Minister of Communications, Innovation, and Digital Economy who has seen it all. He established CC Hub in Yaba, and that is Nigeria Silicon Valley that has attracted the founders of Facebook, the founders of whatever, all the global leaders, Bill Gates, right? So having him as Minister of Communications, who is also a young person, he's better placed, best placed to communicate with them, to say, look, these are better ways of using technology. He's come up with a roadmap now, a blueprint for that sector, on how we can use technology, ICT, digital skills to improve agriculture. Okay. How to use that in education, to use that in healthcare. That's why I'm also saying that achieving the multi-trillion-dollar economy over a period of time is not possible. Because with technology, you can do a lot more. More efficiently, perhaps cheaper and faster, unlike we used to do some 20 years back.
Okay. How about communication, communicating with them?
Well, you have to also come to that level.
let me. I want you to answer that better.
Yeah.
The nature of government communication is formal communication, quote unquote boring. Now, I happened to facilitate for a state government recently, and we were having conversation around how they communicate government policies online. It was very, very revealing. The layers of authority, the layers of approvals before you can put anything out. Now, this young man or young lady just wants to get on Instagram and put out this fantastic government policy. But he has to go through layers upon layers of the emotions and feelings of the bosses. So how do we communicate with young people? Fantastic government policies, such as you have mentioned, if we have to go through all those layers, seeing the immediacy of social media.
That's why you're having more young people in government today. Look at Mr. Taiwo Idele's Committee on Tax Reforms. They're undergraduates from, I think, University of Ilorin and University of Ibadan also. Involve them, let them sit down and tell, okay, we want to reach your generation. How best can we reach them? We don't know how to reach them. They are there. And you saw President Tinubu taking pictures with them. They are the equivalent of his children and grandchildren. So look, we want to bring you, and then look at the cabinets too. There are a lot of them, 34, 35, 36, right? They too have children who are on the superhighway. They know how to communicate with them. So the more of these young people we have in government, I think the better. And it's happening.
But that's government. How about civil service?
Yeah, when you have a minister, the civil servants have to interact with the ministers. Right? It's true, a young person cannot become a director in the civil service overnight. But by being political appointees, right, as minister of state or as minister or as members of boards of state-owned enterprises, they have to interface with those in the civil service. And those in the civil service, what we have to tell them that your children too on the information superhighway, right? You have a lot to learn from your children as well. Because when I'm stuck, I call my children, I say, look, I'm stuck on the,
on the computer.
Yes. And they say, okay, Dad, you could do this,
press that.
And they put me through. I'm not ashamed to call them.
You remind me of that.
And at times my grandchildren are laughing at me. Daddy, I say, okay, fine, teach me, show me.
Happy? I'm not ashamed to learn.
You just have to be humble.
You remind me of that joke making the rounds. Someone say, trying to troubleshoot for someone else. But then I said, press my computer on your computer. How can I press my computer on my computer? So, what is next for you, Dr. Olagunju, lastly, before we go?
Well, when I retired in 2019, I floated WVL Development Advisors. It's a consultancy firm. Right now, I sit on the boards of many companies, right? And but formally, I consult. I raise funds for people who want to invest in all sectors of the economy, because I've been in banking for almost 30 years. So I have a lot of colleagues in the financial services industry within and outside the country. I can put phone calls across to the African Development Bank, to the African Finance Corporation, right, or the International Finance Corporation, right, or banks within the country, or the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And in terms of capacity, I know if it's a regulatory, if you want to set up a power plant, for example, reaching out to Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, or Shell, you need gas to power your independent power plant. So, because I've operated in this environment for 4 decades, so I have extensive contacts, I have networks all over the place. If I have issues, I can always call John Mama. John, well, I have this issue. I know he has friends all over the place. And John is okay, don't worry, I'll call that. It's people and relationships.
Yes.
Right? So that's what I do really now. And giving back to society through my hometown, some other initiatives. Because these are a country, like the president said. You and I, we can't go to Canada now. We can't jackpot anymore. We're stuck here. We must make this country better so that our children can jackpot here.
We have to make it
too, mind you, they want to come back home. Because there are challenges out there which most people do not know.
Absolutely.
They believe, glamour. No, but There are challenges out there. There is nowhere like this country. I was privileged because of my 40-year career to have traveled to more than 40 countries. Wow. So I can compare Nigeria. This is one of the best countries created by God. And we must make it work. It's working, oh.
It's only the people.
We know we can. No, people are good too. Look at most of these diplomats. When they retire, they come back to Nigeria. You saw the immediate past UK High Commissioner to Nigeria. She had a good time in Nigeria. He confirmed, says he's coming back. And you saw the video that the High Commission did for farewell video. Good impressions of Nigeria. This is a beautiful country.
Absolutely.
She was dancing away.
I mean, it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country.
Dr. Waheed Olagunju, former... No. I don't want all those formers. Let's stick with the current one. It's the fellow, the Chartered Institute of Directors, fellow Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Those formers gave me the platform.
All things are passed away. All things are passed away. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and we certainly will not let this wisdom, we won't let you carry it away from this world without dispensing more and more of it.
So don't worry, I'm documenting my experience.
Thank you very much, Ayo.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, it's that time of day again where we go back to, what did you call it? Those sober moments?
Indeed.